one of the reasons perhaps why that is popular these days is perhaps precisely because people don't actually really know very much about it. I think it's just not true that you don't need to have read anything, that all you need to do is sit down and meditate. I mean, you can try that and you might believe that you're meditating, but I think it's a lot harder than that. Certainly from my own rather limited knowledge of these things, I do know that, if you pursue this sort of thing seriously, it requires years and years of study, and Buddhist monks, for example, study for years to reach the kind of state where they can legitimately say of themselves that they really know how to meditate. So I think what appeals to contemporary culture is just, like many other things, this kind of quick fix thing. They think, well, okay, I don't need to take any doctrine on board. I don't think that's true either. I mean, there are Buddhist doctrines. I mean, for example, that the whole of reality is an illusion, and that, what you have to do is to try and transcend yourself, because ultimately there is no such thing as the individual, and so on. I mean, those are all sort of fairly substantial claims, but clearly people like to forget about them. So they think it's not about doctrine, and all you have to do is kind of engage in a certain practice that you can learn in 5 minutes. And I think none of that is true. And I think if people had a deeper understanding of what Buddhism involved, it might seem less appealing, because it's quite a lot more hard work, I think, than it looks. On a slightly more positive note, perhaps the craving that many people nowadays have for trying to learn the technique of meditation is because the modern world is incredibly noisy, full of stimuli that you're constantly being bombarded with, and people have a craving for peace and quiet, for being alone within themselves. I mean, every time you walk into a shop, you get appalling pop music going on in the background. Wherever you go, there's hardly ever any peace and quiet. You're constantly distracted away from yourself. But here I think it's not really Buddhism that has more of an advantage. I mean, ultimately, I think what all the religions offer is a way for people to try and return into themselves and to stop and think about things and so on. I think that's why people still find religions appealing, because they offer that. But perhaps the sense is that in Buddhism you don't have to take on this whole body of dogma and doctrine as perhaps in the other monotheistic religions. But I'm not sure that that's entirely true. I think you do have to take on, if you're serious about it, quite a bit of doctrine as well. So I think what people nowadays find appealing is more kind of Zen-Buddhism light rather than actual Zen-Buddhism.